Guys, it's that time of the week again. Championship score predictions are back. Let's jump into it. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Very excited for this weekend's upcoming action. We got loads to talk over in today's video. Obviously, we had all the midweek action going on, which will be discussed throughout today's video. As always, get your score predictions in the comments down below and get yourself entered onto that prediction league. And if you're going to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. If we get it 400 likes on today's video, that would be massively appreciated. But before we jump into my score predictions, let's check out the current prediction league standings after all the midweek action that we've just had. And we've got a new leader at the top of the main prediction league. Kyle Barrett has stormed his way to the top of the league, having a massive game week, taking up 14 points and going top with 77 points. I also had another fairly decent game week, to be honest with you, and I've gone up to 3rd place in the main prediction league. I'm currently on 72 points, so I'm definitely battling it up and around there at the moment. In terms of League 1, it's currently Sam Hardy who's leading the way. He also had an excellent game week, picking up 12 points. He's currently top of League 1 with 60 points. Only 5 points separates the top and bottom of League 1 at the moment. And then for League 2, things are also very tight in here as well. 53 to 55 points is all that separates it, and there's loads of you who are literally just 1 or 2 points at the moment away from getting into League 2. But it's currently MM who is leading the way in League 2 with 55 points. So as always, get your score predictions down below. But without any further ado, guys, let's jump into these score predictions. And so starting things out with Saturday's early kickoff, we've got Hull going up against Sheffield United. Now this game comes at an interesting point of the season because the improvement recently from Sheffield United has been obvious to see. I know they dropped points late on in midweek in that game I was at, but they still look more threatening going forward, and at the end of the day they have scored 8 goals now in their last 2 matches. Their problem has been defensively, especially in that game against North End. There were several moments, even while Sheffield United were on top, that they still looked sort of gettable at the back, really. Obviously it was a mistake in the final few minutes which allowed North End to get back into it. Jack Robinson not having his finest moment in that one, so the sooner they get Ben Davies back into that back line, I think the better for them. But they are going up against a Hull side who's really struggling to find the back of the net at the moment. They've still not scored a goal since the opening day against Preston when they put 4 past us. They did have the ball in the back of the net in midweek in their game against Blackburn, but Josh McGuinness was ruled off for offside, and not the first time that we've said that so far this season. For a score prediction in this one, I think I am going to be going for Sheffield United. I think that with those threats that they now have going forward, you know, Gibbs White looked really good once again in midweek. I'm going to go 2-1 Sheffield United. I think that Hull could get a goal in this one because Sheffield United have looked a little bit shaky at the back, but I do see the Blades winning this one, so I'll go 2-1 to the away side. FIFA saying 2-0 Sheffield United. Next up then, into the Saturday 3 PM kickoffs, we've got Barnsley going up against Blackburn. Blackburn, like we were just mentioning before, were victorious in midweek. They saw off Hull by 2-0. Ben Brereton scoring another goal in that game. Barnsley had a very interesting game though in midweek. It ended up as a 1-1 draw against Stoke, but my God, Bradley Collins had the game of his life in that one. We had quite a few big goalkeeping performances in the midweek action that we had in the Championship, but yeah, some of the saves that he was pulling off in the second half, he absolutely won Barnsley the point in that one. Colin Woodrow's goal as well was also absolutely outrageous. You know, we all know he's got that sort of thing in his locker, but still absolute sight to behold that goal, and a good point for them on the road in the end in what has been a pretty tough run for them. You know, Barnsley still now 5 games without a win, and I do think that Blackburn will cause their threats in this one. Blackburn are unbeaten on the road so far this season, and with them looking to play on transitions and breaks, and with how Barnsley looked a little bit gettable in that game against Stoke, albeit Collins was fantastic, I think I might be swaying towards Blackburn in this one, but a draw certainly wouldn't surprise me in this game. I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn though, I think, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Barnsley. Could really go either way this one. Next up then we have Cardiff going up against Bournemouth. Now Bournemouth probably come into this game as the favourites with the sort of football they're playing at the moment. Obviously their last 2 results in particular have been quite impressive. They beat Barnsley 3-0 and then midweek followed it up with a fantastic 2-1 win over QPR. Their front 3's looking quite threatening, and they're all sort of bouncing off each other quite well at the moment. Jaden Anthony was fantastic fantastic in midweek once again, and he's supported by the likes of Dom Solanke and David Brooks. Cardiff have been a little bit sort of up and down over the last few weeks. It's 2 losses and a win in their last 3 matches. Obviously in midweek fell to that 1-0 defeat up against Coventry. This sort of has the feeling of Mick sort of maybe wanted to take this sort of game back to basics, and it wouldn't surprise me if this game followed along on a similar path to Bournemouth's game against Hull, where they had sort of like lots of possession, lots of chances in and around the box, but Cardiff will just look to frustrate them, and then they may get a goal from a set piece or something like that. So I think I might be edging towards possibly a draw here. Bournemouth are definitely coming into this one with form, but maybe Mick has what it takes to stifle this Bournemouth attack. I don't know. I'm going to sit on the fence for this one and go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA's going 1-0 Cardiff. Coming up next, we then have Derby going up against Stoke. Now, when it comes to Derby, it's not just the football that we need to touch on at the moment, as of course they have this impending point deduction which is seemingly coming their way. As of recording, nothing has yet been finalised, but it does look like a 9-point deduction will be hitting Derby this season, and then obviously with that 3 points suspended, I mean, it's going to be a tough situation. We all knew that something was going to give with Derby this season, and in actuality it's actually been a very good start to the season for them given the circumstances, but that point deduction would take and suck Derby right back down into the relegation zone and would have them bottom at the moment. So yeah, these sort of matches become even more important. In terms of the football, great point for Derby in midweek. I didn't give them much of a chance against that West Brom side, but Kelly Roos, another of the goalkeepers who was absolutely magnificent in midweek, brilliant at keeping the scoreline down, made some absolute worldies of saves. And Stoke were probably the opposite of Derby this weekend because they created a bucket full of chances, but Barnsley goalkeeper Bradley Collins, like we mentioned before, was just on top form for that one, and Stoke would have been left scratching their heads. They do have Tommy Smith, who will be suspended for this game. They did appeal that red card, but it has since been confirmed that that won't be rescinded, so that will be a bit of a blow for Stoke coming into this one. But you'd think that Stoke may look to take a bit of that energy from last time and just throw it into this one. You know, Derby, while they may not have the most attacking threats going forward, they have been hard to beat at home so far this season. They are unbeaten in all their home matches they've had so far, so this does have a pretty tight feeling about it. I think I'm just edging towards Stoke maybe, but a draw wouldn't surprise me. Going to go 1-0 Stoke, and FIFA's going to go 2-0 Derby. Next up then we head to Craven Cottage, where we have Fulham going up against Reading. Both sides obviously won in midweek, and fair play to Fulham, because at the weekend after their loss against Blackpool, that was sort of like the first time this season when we put a little bit of a question mark over their name. But I mean, they more than responded in style, didn't they, putting 4 goals past Birmingham. I think that the thing with Fulham is, and when you go up against them, especially if they get that early goal against you, it's really hard to get your way back into the game after that. But Reading will have a bit more of a spring in their step after how midweek went. Obviously John Swift getting on the score sheet again, and Tom Dele-Bashiru was also fantastic, particularly with that second goal he scored, which was an absolute worldie. But we all know Reading's vulnerabilities at the back, and with how good Fulham looked in an attacking sense in midweek, if that comes into this game, then I can probably only see one winner in this one. The game changer for Reading, like he always could be, is John Swift, who is currently the league's top scorer with 7 goals, but I just think from an attacking sense, Fulham probably have too much in this one. So for a score prediction, I'm going to go 3-1 Fulham in this game. FIFA's going for a 1-1 draw. And coming up next, we then go to Huddersfield up against Nottingham Forest. With Nottingham Forest, I think we all knew that the end was in sight for Chris Hughton, particularly after they fell to that 2-0 defeat to Middlesbrough in midweek. Ethan Horvath had a bit of a nightmare, didn't he, particularly with that second goal they conceded. But it's been a dismal start to the season for Forest, who are bottom of the table at the moment, sat on just 1 point, and this isn't exactly the ideal game to be going into. I know that Chris Hughton made his mistakes along the way, but sacking him doesn't just, you know, it's not an instant fix for Forest, and I'm certainly not expecting this to be an easy game for them here up against this Huddersfield side who put 3 goals past Blackpool in midweek. They've won their last 2 home matches, and Huddersfield, probably more so than any other side so far this season, have really proved me wrong lately. Even when they beat North End 1-0, I still thought that they're quite a way off from where they need to be, but since then they've absolutely taken off, and fair play to them. Josh Karoma in the goals in midweek, he's always going to be a threat. You know, him and Sorba Thomas are 2 players who I always watch out for at the weekend, and I can't help but feel like with so much uncertainty still over this Forest side, it's probably a decent time still to be playing them. So for Huddersfield, I'm going to go for a 2-1 home victory. FIFA's going for a 1-1 draw. Coming up next, we then go to Luton, who are going up against Swansea this weekend. Both of Swansea's last 2 matches have now finished as goalless draws. It does feel like they're getting maybe a little bit closer to scoring. The first half against Millwall looked like a bit of a non-event really, but had a couple more chances in that second half. Obafemi went quite close to opening the scoring, and they also had a free kick which went very close as well. Bartosz Białkowski came with the save with that one. Luton also drew in midweek a 1-1 against Bristol City. Had quite a few chances in the first half by the looks of things, but it did take them a 91st minute equaliser to share the points in that one. Honestly, a draw going into this one wouldn't surprise me. Another fairly low scoring game as well. It still feels like Swansea are a few sort of weeks away, maybe even months away from properly clicking, especially in the final third with the new sort of personnel that they brought in on deadline day. So for a score prediction in this one, honestly another goalless draw wouldn't really surprise me. I think that Luton's last game they had at home actually was a goalless draw, wasn't it? And that seems to be the trend with these sides at the moment. So I'm going to go for a 0-0 in this one. FIFA's going 1-0 Swansea. Next up then we head to the Riverside, where it's Middlesbrough going up against Blackpool. Now Middlesbrough certainly took advantage of what was a Nottingham Forest side in midweek who looked fairly low on confidence. Andras Sparrar scoring his first goal for the club in some fashion. It was an absolute strike, that goal, wasn't it? Really looking forward to seeing more of him as the season goes on. I think that a lot of Borough fans are quite excited about him and what he has to offer for them. And then Onel Hernandez also bagging his first goal for the club as well, pouncing on a goalkeeper mistake. From Blackpool's perspective, pretty disappointing last time out, especially coming off the back of the high of what was the Fulham result then, you know, very much sucked down to reality with that 3-0 loss against Huddersfield. Looked as if in the second half that game just completely got away from them, so this one they'll look to completely reset themselves. I do feel like Borough, because before midweek I was still a little bit unsure about them, but with the new personnel that's come into the club there, they do have some serious quality within that 11, and I think they probably get through this one as well with what Blackpool looked like in midweek. So for a score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Middlesbrough in this game, I think. FIFA's going for a goalless draw. Next then we head to the Den, where we've got Millwall going up against Coventry. Millwall in midweek shared the points with Swansea in a goalless draw. Not really all too much goalmouth action by the seams of things in that one. Tom Bradshaw did have a chance in the second half, but apart from that, quality in the final third was a little bit more few and far between. For Coventry though, it was another win for them in midweek as they saw Cardiff by 1-0. Now, to be fair, you know, they defended the balls coming into the box from Cardiff seemingly fairly well in that one, and they'll need to be just as sharp and on their toes in this one against Millwall, who will look to pose some similar sort of threats coming into the box with those balls from certainly sort of dead ball situations and things like that. Now, the majority of points so far this season for Coventry have come at home, and it's really about, you know, finding that flow of consistency now in those matches away from home. You know, that will really settle the difference between where Coventry go ahead and finish this season, because I think they have been probably a step above where most people thought they'd be so far. I've really been impressed, but with it being the third game in the week, maybe fatigue starts to play a role in this and things like that, and I think I may just edge towards a draw in this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1, I think. Love predicting a 1-1 when it comes to Millwall, I think, but I think I'm going to play it safe for this one and go for that. Coming up next, we then go to Peterborough up against Birmingham. Now, Peterborough find themselves in a difficult moment at this point in time. They've lost their last 4 matches. They're conceding a lot of goals at the moment. They've conceded 9 goals now in their last 2 championship matches, and we did highlight that as a potential problem for Peterborough at the start of the season. And the quicker they pick themselves out of this rut, the better really, because something like this can really spiral, especially at the start of the season. They've conceded 17 goals so far this season, which along with Reading is more than any other championship side. Birmingham obviously didn't have the greatest of games in midweek, but I think that everyone is, you know, given a bit of a free hit really against Fulham and how good they can be going forward, particularly when they got that early goal. The writing was sort of on the wall for that one. So yeah, Lee Bowyer's got the task of turning this one around. One positive from that game in midweek for Birmingham was that Troy Deeney got off the mark from the penalty spot, albeit he'd have wanted that first goal in Blues colours to be in better circumstances, but still a positive to take from that one nonetheless. And I probably think that Birmingham may get back to winning ways in this one. I think they will cause Peterborough some problems going forward. I think they may get this one over the line. For a score prediction, I'm going to go 2-1 Birmingham in this game, with FIFA going 1-0 Peterborough. Coming up next, we then go to Deepdale, where we got Preston going up against West Brom. Now, Preston's still on a decent unbeaten run. It was a great result in midweek as Emil Rees popped up with that last-minute equaliser against Sheffield United, but I am expecting another really tough game here. Now, West Brom have been a little bit frustrating in their last couple of matches, to be fair. Back-to-back draws, that goalless draw they had in midweek against Derby. They probably should have won that one with the chances they had, but Roos was just having the absolute game of his life in that one, to be fair to him. It's just dawned on me as well how many former Preston players West Brom actually have in their team. They got Sam Johnston, they've got Reach, Malumbi, Robinson and Hugel, so I mean one of them's bound to score in this game, aren't they? West Brom also have a really good head-to-head record against Preston. They've beaten us on the last 5 occasions where we've played, so I'm hoping we can flip the script in this one, but I'm also expecting us to maybe make a few changes. I thought we looked a little bit leggy at times in that second half against Sheffield United, surely because, you know, we've gone and changed for the last few matches now, and the volume of matches in the Championship can sometimes catch up to you. So listen, if we're going to do anything in this game, DJ and Emil Rees will be absolutely central to that, but I can't help but feel like maybe West Brom are just going to throw absolutely everything at this one because they've had a couple of frustrating results last time out. So I'm hopeful of a draw here, but I think I'm going to say 2-1 West Brom and hope that I'm proven wrong again. FIFA's going 1-0 West Brom. And as our last game of the weekend to go over, we have QPR going up against Bristol City. Bristol City came also close to ending this dreadful home run that they're currently on in midweek, but it just wasn't to be in the end. Daniel Bentley didn't exactly have his finest moment in that one when Luton equalised, but yeah, it just wasn't to be in the end, and that game finished as a 1-1 draw. QPR also looking to bounce back in this one after they lost out last time out against Bournemouth. Rob Dickey's error in the first half obviously allowed Bournemouth to build up a little bit of momentum in that one, and they'll be looking to bounce back in this game. Now, Bristol City on the road have been decent so far this season. That's where the majority of their points have come from so far, so I am expecting this one to actually be a decent game of football here. I think for a score prediction, I'm just swaying towards QPR in this one. But on the road especially, Bristol City do like to pull a result out every now and again. But for a score prediction, I think I'm going to go 2-1 QPR for this game, with FIFA going 1-0 Bristol City. But guys, there we have it. Those are my score predictions for all of the upcoming matches we've got in the Championship this weekend. If you think you can out-predict me, then make sure to get your score predictions down below and get yourself onto the prediction leaderboard. Apart from that though, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. Thanks for watching though, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.